So your ass tweaking, folks.
Good, bro. It's a little cut, bro. We doing something right now, boy.
Why just this shit over
We handling his ass later. You should have did that, bro. The police find they gonna chase.
Oh my god, I gotta look good before I torture this white boy. As ridiculous as it sounds, she's fixing her hair before she live streams her friends torturing a Trump supporter. Yeah, that's actually something that's happened. They said 2016 was a bad year. Oh god. If this is the peak of 2017, it's gonna be a rough year. If you were on Twitter yesterday, you probably saw the hashtag BLM Kidnapping floating around. Yeah, this is that event. To give you a brief summary of what happened, they got this guy into a stolen van, duct taped his wrists, and forced him into a corner. From there, they used a knife to cut the sleeves of his sweater, and then proceeded to cut his hair, and in the process, cutting his scalp with the same knife. I have no words for the acts of inhumanity that were being done. No words. This is their mugshot right here. Doesn't it remind you of something? It definitely reminds me of Gorillaz. I mean the musical artist, clearly. Kind of reminds me of that Demon Days album art cover. But I'm not here to discuss whether people's mugshots look like album art or not. I'm here to talk about whether this could be considered a hate crime in a court, and whether it's involved with the Black Lives Matter movement at all. As I didn't want to call this a hate crime until I knew that at a court of law it actually could be proven as one, I did some research, and I found something interesting. First off, I looked up the definition of kidnapping and abduction in the Illinois state law. So, the definition of kidnapping is: kidnapping occurs when a person knowingly and secretly confines another person against his or her own will by using force, threat of force, deceit, enticement. Kidnapping also includes the confinement of a mentally retarded person and the confinement of a child less than 13 years old without the consent of the parent. I was happy that they could easily fit under that definition. Then I looked down the page and saw the harsher version of kidnapping, known as aggravated kidnapping. A person commits an offense of aggravated kidnapping if he/she kidnaps another to obtain ransom, inflicts bodily harm, armed with a dangerous weapon, or armed with firearms. Also, a person kidnaps a child under 13 years or mentally retarded person commits the offense of aggravated kidnapping. But there was one thing that kind of stood out as a kicker to me. And at the bottom it said, secret confinement is an essential element of kidnapping. I looked up what secret confinement meant, and it just meant hiding somebody. Their crime met the bill for that as well. They had kept him in their apartment for somewhere between 24 and 48 hours. Next, I had to figure out whether it could be classified as a hate crime. I know it sounds pretty ridiculous, but I figured that defense could use something like they're attacking him because of his political standings, and that actually no longer becomes a hate crime under the definition of the law, which is very interesting. But the fact that they do insinuate that they hate all white people really makes it probable that they could get the hate crime sentencing. Let me explain. According to Illinois state law, a person commits hate crime when by reason of the actual or perceived race, color, creed, religion, ancestry, gender, sexual orientation, physical or mental disability, or national origin of another individual or group of individuals, regardless of the existence of any other motivating factor or factors. It's interesting that you could get charged if you didn't like somebody liking Creed and something happened between you two that it could be considered a hate crime. Oh, no. Oh, that kind of Creed. Whoopsies. Moving on. The most interesting part of the whole definition is that it says regardless of the existence of any other motivating factor or factors. So that means that when they say they were beating him up because he was a Trump supporter, that does not absolve the fact that they said that they hate all white people. So they still have grounds for actually charging them on hate crime. There still is a defense that can be taken for them, though. The defense has to do with they were just trying to say buzzwords to make themselves look cool. And to be honest, because they are so young, I hate to discount that option. But what these 4 young adults did in torturing somebody like that, and also claiming that it was political in ways, and grandstanding it like they did, it's very close to terrorism. But let's not open that can of worms. Let's look into whether they actually were affiliated with Black Lives Matter, or this action, this heinous crime, was done in the name of Black Lives Matter. And from what I saw when I watched the whole video, which was just horrible, I don't want to do that again, I didn't see anything that would allude that they would be doing this on behalf of Black Lives Matter or that sort of movement. But could the posturing of groups like Black Lives Matter have influenced this violence? Absolutely. I think there is a case to be made that if you call somebody so horrible that they are beyond help, and if you convince somebody of that, they will treat them as subhuman. I think it is possible in this case. Unless they are actually just trying to look thug and cool and we're just throwing buzzwords around. Speaking of that, I did see that defense kind of come up in mainstream media, but I don't think it's their place to be talking about that yet. I think they need to just wait and go along with the court proceedings. In defending people who do this act in that sort of way immediately after it happens is in bad taste, to say the least. They would have never done that had it been a group of KKK members torturing somebody, or they wouldn't have done it if it were just a group of white people doing it to some random other white person or some random black person. They would not have been defending it. They would have just condemned it. But I would rather not get into the whole mainstream media losing the narrative game. That's another story for maybe another time. We'll see how I feel. And that marks the end of what I have to say on this savagery. If you did enjoy anything in this video, please subscribe. I'm trying to actually figure out when I'm going to make a real video schedule, but until then, have sporadic uploads. Leave a like, comment about what you thought, and as always, have a great day.